Elon Musk and Tesla made some major announcements on progress this weekend. First, Elon said Master Plan Part 2, also known as Part 2, will be completed next year. And he said Master Plan Part 4 will be concise and clear. This new plan will be revealed soon. We'll review all the milestones for each of the master plans. Second, with success comes bad actors. Turns out an engineer who worked for XAI stole the entire XAI codebase, stealing Grok's trade secrets that made it the smartest AI in the world. He did this on behalf of OpenAI. Elon confirms they filed a lawsuit against this guy. Third, more and more Cybercabs are being spotted at Giga Texas. What's really interesting is the one most recently spotted seems to have a steering wheel. We've also got more information about the Model Y L in China, a possible compact car, and we now know what the Model Y performance looks like. Jeff Lutz, ex-CVP of Supply Chain and Chief Quality Officer. He's now CEO of his own supply chain consulting firm. He's here with us today. Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Herbert. Lots going on. Good to be with you.
This is the big one, which is Master Plan. I wanted you to walk through us all the milestones and what we're expecting for Master Plan Part 4, which is going to drop soon. Elon posted this just a couple of days ago. He said Tesla's Master Plan Part 2 will be complete next year. We'll go through each of those milestones. What exactly is he meaning when he says it'll be complete next year? Master Plan Part 3 was too complex for anyone to understand, but described how all of Earth could move to sustainable energy. And he's promising that Master Plan Part 4 will be concise. So clearly, he's already got that clarified. And it just came from, he replied to this post, friendly reminder that Elon called his shots. 19 years ago, he posted Tesla's Master Plan. 9 years ago, he posted Master Plan Part 2. This was the original Master Plan. Build sports car, use that money to build an affordable car, use that money to build an even more affordable car, while doing above, also provides zero-emission electric power generation options. Then, Master Plan Part 2 creates stunning solar roofs with seamlessly integrated battery storage, expand the electric vehicle product line to address all major segments, develop a self-driving capability that's 10 times safer than manual via massive fleet learning, enable your car to make money for you when you aren't using it. So I've been tracking this, putting tables together. In my estimation, all of this first 4 of Master Plan Part 1 was done. But Part 2, yes, they did a solar roof, but it's kind of like it wasn't a big business. And then I put ongoing for the expansion across all major segments, ongoing for the 10 times safer of FSD, and open, enable your car to make money for you when you're using it. What do you think about those statements he's made so far, Jeff?
You know, it's just the process of doing this provides clarity for a company, for the board, for the leadership team, and then for the leadership team on down. And even when they're interviewing, all the way down to, people that work in maintenance, it's just, here's why this company is what it is. There's 3 or 4 things that we're going after. And so if your goals aren't aligned to this, you may want to rethink your goals with your manager. So there's inherent power in just having a published strategy that's out there. And it's not only out there for the employees, it's out there for the entire public. So everybody knows. So it also demonstrates vision of the CEO. And that's what the CEO is supposed to do. They're supposed to have vision about what the future holds, what's important, and what will, move the world, what will move the company forward. They're supposed to allow and help the leadership team put that plan in place and then unblock any barriers to getting there. So I think this provides tremendous clarity. If we go to Master Plan Part 1, I agree with you that has been accomplished. On a Master Plan Part 2, I would say on the solar roof piece of it could arguably be yellowish there. It's not, the economics aren't there. It's not in the same kind of mass supply and demand that the electric vehicle segment is in, and that obviously had to have been the vision to create this entire business unit in manufacturing operation and to go after it. So I still think there's work to do on solar. I don't think they're done either. So in terms of the vehicle product lines on all major segments, that's definitely ongoing. And a lot of the newer vehicles were unveiled at the We Were About event almost a year ago, believe it or not. I feel how time flies. And the self-driving piece of it, 10x safer. if you look at how Teslas perform relative to other vehicles, some people question how that data is collected, older vehicles and so forth, but just the probability of a crash and serious injury is down. I think what they're going through now in terms of this 10x improvement beyond just safety and crash prevention is also just critical and non-critical intervention, so you don't have to touch anything. So I think that's where version 14 is going. That's where version 13 has progressed. It just, again, look at your car a year ago. Where were we on a year ago? 12.4 or 12.5 a year ago. And look how your car was driving. Look how often you used FSD. And now look at it today. I don't get in my vehicle and go to a destination without engaging FSD. It's 100% of the time. It's the exception when I don't engage it. So they're clearly making progress, and you have to understand that this is an unbounded system. This has never been done before. So to try to tag the Tesla team, the Tesla AI team, and Elon to some specific date, or you said it was going to be like, August for a stop. Just understand we're in the short strokes on this is the way I would say it, using a golf term. And we're getting very close to some major milestones, I believe. So let's see what version 14 holds. I think it's going to come out and it's going to be rough in terms of internal to Tesla. And then they're going to have to spend some time to work through and smoothen it out so it's production worthy for consumers to use. But once it's out there, it will have capabilities that version 13 doesn't have. I think it's going to be closing off a number of things. So not just to come back out a bit, I think having these plans and having the simplicity and clarity behind them is critical. Now, this whole thing of, next year closing off part 2, I think that makes sense. Let's just see how this goes, especially with, enable your car to make money for you while you aren't using it. This is going after the same principle of how he designs factories, which is really driving up the utilization rate. So this is foundational to everything that he does, whether it's building a data center and the utilization rate of those billions of dollars of GPUs, building gigafactories. And what he's been talking about here is the utilization of the auto fleet, which is arguably used, less than 10% of the time. But all this capital is billions and trillions of dollars are out there in capital in the world, and its utilization rate is extremely low. So this is an idea. This is an out of the box idea to really drive up the utilization rate of literally trillions of dollars of assets. Now, everybody's car won't be able to do this. Obviously, it'll be Tesla's, but the point is this segment will be awoken, and when this works, this will change the automobile industry forever.
Yeah, this is 20 years ago, and he built one of the more first profitable vehicle automaker, and then he accomplished that. And then, of course, this is about 10 years ago, but he's making self-driving cars that eventually will make money for you. That looks like that it's well on its way to getting completed, if not next year, the following year, but certainly looks like already now next year. This is Master Plan Part 3, but basically it's very complicated, and it was really just looking at globally, maybe through a universe perspective, how many terawatts does the world need to get to this sustainable energy future? And he calculated, he estimated it. We don't exactly know what Tesla's plan is to get here. So that was kind of confusing. And so what do you think Master Plan Part 4 is going to be? First of all, do you think that it's going to be revealed sometime this year, maybe at the annual shareholder meeting? And what's your thinking of what he might be proposing there?
I think the theme is going to be abundance. I think the theme is going to be productivity, sustainability, sustainable abundance, unseen levels of productivity. Think about what Grok Code is doing right now. Think about what Optimus will be doing in its final form. And again, people are talking, I haven't seen Optimus in a while, and it looks like the program's delayed. What's happening? I just have to remind people, everybody's showing you a YouTube video on YouTube, some edited clip or unedited clip even, that is not necessarily quantifiable. It's more qualitative in terms of what you're seeing. What has to happen to build these things? These are going to be very, in the manufacturing world, they say the closest cousin to humanoid is building a smartphone. And knowing so much about how those are made, and seeing the construction techniques, the moving parts that are involved with making a humanoid, it's on another level of complexity beyond the smartphone. So anyway, I think they're making tremendous progress on it. But back to these master plan, I think master plan 4 is really going to be about abundance. And it looks like everything that he's doing is getting straight to the bottleneck of abundance, whether it's the ability to write software, whether it's the ability to have access to the world's information and be able to actually make it useful and make people, you have superhuman intelligence, whether it's a bottleneck related to energy and what he's doing with Tesla Energy. So I think he's going to continue moving backwards into what are those bottlenecks. So he's solving the compute bottleneck. It looks like now he's going to have to work backwards and say, I have to power up all this compute. And what are we going to need to be able to do that? And it's not clear. You have this nuclear reactor future. You have, these mini LNG plants. You have all these different things out there, and no one has effectively, outside of potentially the Chinese, but that's a government, has effectively harnessed what is possible with solar and batteries. So I could see something very intuitive there. I can also see a lot more fusion between SpaceX and Tesla. And I think there's going to be more and more cross utilization of these companies between XAI, Tesla, and SpaceX. I see that happening.
Yeah. So for us Tesla investors, right, we see these milestones, we see these master plans, we see him knocking them off and their big, giant goals. And then you have obviously these doubters, these enemies. They're coming out. And just very quickly, there's Mark Spiegel shorted Tesla, Stanford Capital, and boy, he just sent this letter out to his investors, and it's a sad letter. I won't read all of it, but basically they are down big time compared to S&P and Russell. They've lost so much money trying to short things. He has a sentence here about Tesla. He said, where did he say about that Tesla? Right down here. I've also lost a ton of money short what I now believe to be a rigged Tesla stock. As the company's business falls apart, there's much more on that below. He's still betting big. I don't know why you would do that on a company that has tremendous potential. So here's another story about, when you have success, you have a lot of enemies. And this is pretty egregious. This guy was hired by XAI. He joined XAI. Then he left XAI. And then he sold $7 million of his XAI stock. And he gets hired by OpenAI. And he downloaded all of XAI's entire code base. So, of course, and he even covered his tracks, right? He knows what he's doing. He covered his tracks, but XAI caught him, and now they're going to, sue him. Elon said he accepted an offer at OpenAI and then uploaded our entire code base. This is the kind of stuff that's happening right now. This is important things, right? This is like the future of the world, the humanity. And they'll do whatever they need to do to win. What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people this happens in all over tech. And it's so easy to catch, by the way, too. There are people that get away with it, but it is easy to catch. It's not worth it. It's not worth, you obviously have the ability and you have the capability to work in this engineering field and make a lot of money. And your future's bright, you're young. There's no reason. First off, it's wrong. Don't ever take anything from any company you've ever worked at, and don't ever use it again. And you should have nothing from any company, especially when you're starting something new. You shouldn't. So, but this really, it demonstrates how high stakes this is, what's involved. It's also incumbent upon receiving companies. This is the mark of a good company, is to never allow that stuff inside. Never allow it. This person gets a brand new formatted machine, brand new formatted libraries and structures and directories and drives. Nothing from the outside like this should be allowed. No code development like this should be allowed. So, this is we'll probably see more of these types of thefts and espionage occurring. This is domestic, related between two U.S. companies, but this is for the future of honestly of how all this information is going to be managed. And we see all the different stats between XAI and OpenAI. It's sometimes it is difficult to really understand what metric measures goodness of an AI language model. Sometimes there's many different specs out there. It's really hard to say, but it looks like there's something very special happening with XAI, with the team, with the Elon's ability to attract talent. It looks like people are going after something bigger, and it looks like there's a huge talent war happening out there right now. So anyway, don't do this. You're going to get caught. This person got caught. Many more people will get caught, and it just shows you like what's at stake. And then again, it's incumbent upon companies to never allow this stuff. Even on the inbound, they should never allow usage. I know it sounds strange, like, well, of course they shouldn't, but you'd be surprised. So just if receiving companies never allow it, and then everybody's always checking to make sure that stuff's not being stolen, then I think a lot of these problems will get solved. But it's going to get more difficult too as these tools are able to spoof security techniques. So something to keep an eye on.
Yep, I know that. One day I'll ask you some more stories because I know you run big the organizations where you had to deal with this, and you've had secret projects and people are trying to steal it. You've got the experience. Be curious what you've done. Let's talk about Cybercabs and the new products that Tesla is launching. So Joe Techmeyer follows Giga Texas quite closely, and he found some more Cybercabs. This was a very interesting discovery here. This was a Cybercab that was going through wind tunnel testing. I'll play some videos so you can see that there's more and more of these out there. He explains this really well, what he's seeing here. But take a look. There looks like a steering wheel right here, and that's curious. And then there's a lot of differences here. There's also being showcased everywhere. He said this is a brief. He published a video on his YouTube channel, and then we're going to play the short clip about a new Cybercab test vehicle undergoing wind tunnel testing, and with numerous changes that show this is no longer a prototype, but a first-level production test article. I'll ask you if you think that, because your experience of knowing what a prototype is versus production. Also, the Cybercab production line setup is making great progress as Tesla moves closer to bringing the Cybercab reality late this year and into 2029. And Joe would know, he's followed it closely, so let's watch what he says here.
So staying with the Cybercab theme, while I was at Giga Texas, I did notice this test vehicle. This is over at the wind tunnel, and they are doing some wind tunnel testing. But this also shows us some significant changes as they are getting closer and closer to production. Now, this is on the east side of Giga Texas. One of the things I noticed is that it does have a license plate holder, and this would suggest it's getting ready to be used on the streets. The front side camera has been relocated. This is in a slightly different location, maybe because of access to the doors. It does have side rear view mirrors. It's the first time we've seen that with Cybercabs, which is different. Also, it does have a steering wheel. When we were out at X Takeover, Lars Moravi did talk about that. He said they use them for engineering and testing. They also don't have the window tint that we have seen on the test vehicles around Giga Texas. We also see here some sort of aero flap or a light reflector just in front of the front wheels. And then speaking of which, the wheel covers are not on. They have different kinds of wheels, and I think this is all part of the aerodynamic testing that they are doing with this configuration. The rear bumper has a slightly different lower treatment than we've seen on the prototypes. And also, it has a new kind of a side decal. I really can't quite read what it is. It says something and Cybercab, but pretty neat to see this difference. But anyway, this is yet another indication that they are getting much closer to having the production lines set up and getting ready for production later this year.
As far as the actual production line, it's going along really well here. The last of the equipment is being installed inside as a frenzy of activity. Of course, it's not ready for public or anything like that. Probably a little later this year, they'll start up that production. But it is definitely coming along. I did ask if there's going to be a public event, possibly to kind of a grand opening of the Cybercab production line, or when they're going to bring it out, similar to what we saw with the Cybertruck back in November of 2023. And the answer is that that's most likely what's going to happen. Obviously, none of the details yet, but they do intend to try to have a public event at some point, maybe after the new year. But if that's the case, that'll be, I think, really exciting for people to be able to see what this new production line looks like. And of course, it's being built right behind me here in Giga Texas. And, they're very excited about how that is all coming along.
Okay, well, that was a lot of information. I'm so excited to hear what you got out of this, Jeff. Tell us what's going on.
Joe's really good at what he does. You should definitely follow his page and subscribe. There's great content on there like this. So there's convergence happening. So Cybercab is supposed to go into starter production, I think, near the latter part of this year. That's what's been publicly discussed. Volume production, which is what's meaningful for consumers, meaningful for fleets, meaningful for investors, 2026. So you would have to assume that hopefully that would be in the first half of 2026. So there's this convergence happening. This is what happens during new product development and the transition to manufacturing. There's massive amounts of equipment flowing into the factory, being bolted to the floors, electrical, air, everything's being set up in the factory in its production, configurations, high volume production configuration. My guess is a lot of the vehicles have been built in a semi-auto, semi-manual configuration up to this point. And because you're teasing out different things, everybody's got their job in the product development process and the manufacturing development process, I should say. So I'm sure there's a whole team. There's a table of people, cross-functional group that's meeting every day about these reaction injection molded doors and getting that process to be consistent, getting the process time down, getting the yields up, which is inclusive of yields, getting the color consistency, working, between batches and, the matching intra-vehicle. So there's all these different working groups on basically everything that's new about the production of the Cybercab. And then once that production configuration is there, you're going to run one vehicle all the way through it and make sure that you're getting each station individually ready, and you're doing this combination of running a new vehicle end to end, but you're also doing this cycling thing with each station, where you're cycling each station at a lower rate and then elevating that rate. And what you're doing between now and the start of production is you're cycling stations. You're putting, not phony product, but you're putting product through, and you're trying to understand. It may not go and be built into a final vehicle, or maybe it will, but you're ultimately trying to get each station ready. So that's what's happening in the factory right now. And then with these vehicles, there's so much testing that's involved to get a safety critical product to market. Whether you saw the wind tunnel testing, there's reliability testing, there's crash testing. Those are different things. There's all types of material corrosion testing. There's internal material testing. There's, you name it. And the Lars's team and the manufacturing teams, they have test plans, many hundreds and thousands of items long that they need to basically funnel to get to a production worthy product. So the funnel starts wide, lots of test cases, and then you start knocking those test cases off, and then you come back and check them as you make other changes to the product to make sure you didn't break anything, but you're ultimately progressing down this funnel to get to a production worthy project. So you're going to see, that's why when I saw those castings and people thought like, oh, maybe Cybercab production starting early. I'm like, no, they got to build hundreds, maybe even thousands of these things. Maybe not full cars, but there's hundreds and thousands of assemblies that need to be built for various reasons to get those stations ready in the factory, to get reliability, to get crash testing going, to get the road test vehicles ready. So I think that's the phase we're in. We're converging towards start of production. I'm sure they've got a big issues list of things that they have to go solve that will ultimately dictate the readiness of the ramp. And so we'll see. This is an exciting time.
Fantastic. You answered a lot of the questions I was going to ask you. So they're design locked, it sounds like, but you're saying they're still testing it. So there's potential for them to keep doing that. And then they're production ready. They're getting to become production ready. What do you take, Jeff, about, there was a lot that Joe pointed out. There's a steering wheel, there's side mirrors. And then now Lars, he was asked this question, and he said, no, it's just part of engineering. Do you believe him, or do you think that this might roll out first as a driven, supervised vehicle, which I would guess is what they will do, supervised vehicle first before they get permits and all that, and then remove the driver?
Yeah.
Or what do you think? But you can't really do Robotaxi with a driver because there's only one room for one person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both things can be true. You could have a steering wheel for engineering and validation testing. I think that's true. There's things that they need to do. So I'm sure they need that. We had capability when we're doing smartphone development. We would have capability that we would then lop off and not make available in the production version because we wanted the ability to run different tests in the prototype environment. So that's definitely, I think there's optionality there. I just don't think that's the plan. I think there's a plan of record inside of Tesla. And the plan of record inside of Tesla is this is a driverless vehicle, and V14 will converge. So you think about the timing of this and the start of production, and the volume availability of these vehicles would probably be no earlier than second quarter, maybe of next year in terms of like real volume. So, and then just lots of road testing, I would say starting in Q4 of this year and into Q1. I'm sure it will be in production and there'll be some available in Q1, but more volume in the latter part of the first half of the year. And that's good timing for version 14. Version 14 should have been released and should have had a couple of months of refinement. And so, yeah, there's a convergence happening here. It's a plane that has to land, and the landing gear's got to come out. And that landing gear, for the Cybercab to work, it needs its landing gear, and the landing gear is V14, and the landing gear is fully autonomous. All these test cases solved. Otherwise, that plane can't land yet, and there's no reason to be rushing this thing into production. So, and there's so much newness that's going on with Cybercab in terms of the product, the no paint line, the reaction injection molded housings, how the thing's constructed. There's so much going on there that the more time that engineering and manufacturing team have to refine those process areas, the higher yield, lower process time, the lower cost it would be when it comes to market. So remember, this has to be a very low cost vehicle. This can't be like a Cybertruck where you've got very low process output and you're squeezing these things out, and it's very painful because they're not trying to hit $100,000 price point. They're trying to hit a, under $30,000 price point. So the production operation has to be operating at a level much more. They have to get the volume much more quickly on this than they would a Cybertruck. Otherwise, the economics will be in real trouble.
Yeah. It's converging. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything that we'll see. I mean, obviously it can be delayed. Everything can still be delayed, but it sure looks like that there's a chance that FSD 14 is right in time. And the good news here is it sounds like the compact car or the Cybercab is not. It seems to be going the right timeline. And you've given.
But think about it, Herbert. Yeah. Who is doing this? Who is bringing?
Zeekr.
Who is designing a car?
Sorry.
Well, let me finish. Who is designing a car like the Cybercab? The lower part count, the ingress, egress, the way the thing's designed, the way it's manufactured, all the newness inside of it to get it to that price point at launch, and then trying to overlay this autonomous supercomputer with super intelligence from a driving perspective and getting those two things to converge at the same time. Who's doing that? Now you hear things of like, oh, this Apollo car, this car is going to be a $30,000 Robotaxi, but look at it. I mean, look at I mean, it's not desirable. And then, well, what software is going on it? Well, it's going to be the software. It's going to use all these LiDARs and, it's going to be in very low volumes. Tesla's trying to design something that will ramp into the millions and will be at a price point, and it'll be an attractive product, a very useful utilitarian product. But there's nobody in the auto industry, and I would say physical real world AI, that's taking on a project of this level of complexity. There really isn't another example of this that is entering start of production in the next 6 months. It's pretty exciting.
The only one I thought of was Zoox, but they're small numbers and they're not on the same level, but still, right?
Yeah.
A Robotaxi first designed vehicle. I thought by now every car company would have said, hey, this is our Robotaxi first designed vehicle. And so far, that's it.
Yeah.
So there's a sighting here, Jeff. I don't know how real this is, but some people think that this could be the compact car, the smaller version of the Model Y. As part of Joe Techmeyer's video, one of the things was flying, as he's flying through with his drone, they saw this covered car in the middle here. It's easy to see that this car's smaller. Perhaps it's the Model 3, but I'm wondering why they have it covered. What was your take on this vehicle here?
The answer is it could be a number of things. It could be a Roadster prototype. It could be a number of different things. But I do believe, I go back from this from just a first principles thinking. It makes Model Y is a successful platform. It's a 1.2 million, 1.3 million vehicle per year auto platform with a very low model count or SKU count behind it, meaning when Tesla goes and orders, they're ordering a lot of components from these suppliers of the same thing. And you're a supplier, you get a win on this. It's a major thing. It makes sense. And it's such a hit. And this is why this was my thesis a year ago. It makes sense for them to make a larger version of the vehicle to solve for other consumer segments. And it makes sense for them to do a smaller vehicle. And the major components that will change are the ones that are made in Tesla's four walls, the vertically integrated components. The suppliers there will still be heavy reuse between this vehicle platform, including, I think they could do a similar size Model Y and lower in cost. They could do that too. That's why I think it's confusing to people, the stripped down Model Y controversy. But getting back to this the three sizes make sense because there are people that want the utility of a crossover SUV, but don't necessarily want something family sized like a 5-seater and all this room in the existing Model Y. But there's people that want that functionality to be able to carry things and have some room if they need it. And then you have the longer Model Y, which is launching, I think, today in China. And there's people that love the Model Y and just want more space and want to be able to, if it's 6 people they want to carry, they want to be able to do that. So this makes a lot of sense. So I do think that if Tesla is doing a shorter Model Y, that it's probably nearing this phase of production testing, road testing, and final reliability testing. And I would not be surprised if that goes into production in the next month or two, because this would be good timing for the $7,500 credit coming off as well, which I think they've been planning. I think they've been planning for this vehicle for the second half of the year. It's not like they're trying to be so overly cute about it. The big, beautiful bill moved the $7,500 cutoff to September 30th pretty recently. So it's not like Tesla could have changed all their manufacturing supplier plans that quickly. But I do think that they've been timing this for the fall end of year time frame. It just makes sense. The long Model Y, the short Model Y, have the family out and ramped up, and then this whole platform together, they could take the cost structure down pretty significantly, and that could be the affordable vehicles. Is now once this family is out there and ramped, and maybe it's, I don't know, is it 1.8 million units now for this family? Is it something else? Is it 2 million units? Depends how low they can get the cost of a potential shorter version vehicle. But now you've taken a platform and you've increased its base by 50%, which means your asset utilization has improved massively in your own factories. And then you've got more volume now to put leverage on suppliers to get lower costs there. This is what could be a lower cost platform.
So, Jeff, we're selling, let's say, 2 million vehicles today with the existing Model Y. Then you introduce Model Y L, you introduce Model Y S, whatever. The small
Well, we're
version.
doing 1.2 to be clear. Of Model Y, it's 1.2, 1.25, some in that area.
Yeah,
Model Y only.
Okay, sorry. Model Y only, 1.25 million. What happens when you get to 2 million or 3 million of the Model Y family? Does the price go down by $5,000? What's your guesstimate?
Oh yeah, the price goes down. It's honestly a percentage of the asset base that you've bought out there. So there's no one hard number that if it goes to two. But you think about it as like Tesla capacitized the world, the supply base in themselves, for this 1.2, maybe 1.3, 1.4. That's out there with burst capacity. And now if the whole family elevates it and floats that up to 2 million units, to one, something in an area, now you're either using those same suppliers and you're giving them the ability to expand and to get more output, or you're telling those two suppliers you have for the door handle, like, that's great. I love what you've done for us for the last couple of years, but here's this third supplier. They're coming in, they're hungry, they're 20% lower. So if you still want the business and you each still want 40% share, you have to match the third guy or person that the third company coming in. And that's what happens in these scenarios when you have this major capacity expansion. So one probable thing that could be happening is the low cost vehicles is the expansion of the Model Y family. And once that family is expanded, they would be able to take to answer your question, they would be able to take easily, I would say easily 10%, if not 10%. More, out of the cost structure of where Model Y is today.
Okay, thank you for giving me a number there, because that's margin. That's huge. That is equal to what it is now. That's what they're getting right now.
The way to think about it, Herbert, if they take $3,000 or $4,000 out, in pure operating leverage and leverage within their supply base, now you've taken this in the U.S. You've taken this $7,500 gap and you've cut it in half. Remember, Tesla was financing. They were paying down the interest rate and financing. So that was another $5,000 to $7,000 that was coming out of Tesla's pocket. They don't have to do that as much anymore, especially as interest rates start coming down and demand is up. So there could be really nice conversions here.
Okay, so a couple more quick stories. It's awesome. Great. It's perfect that you were here today, because those are exactly the audience is very appreciative of that, Jeff. So Tesla stores are buzzing this weekend because they're launching the Model Y L. It is coming out now, probably this weekend. If we've seen freight trucks coming in, it's a big seller, it turns out. I'll turn that music off. Basically, these are the stores. You've got views here of all these freight trucks delivering all these cars now. So it is being delivered. Interestingly, though, this we found out that this model is equipped with hardware 4. So we know that these Model Y Ls will be hardware 4. Makes sense. But it only supports autopilot for now, no FSD. Now, it's just a software update, so that can be easily updated, but that's interesting why they just do autopilot first.
Well, they have to get approved, and they call it autopilot there too. I think there's different branding, but they have to get through regulatory, whether it's a new car launch or the existing fleet.
Okay. And then the final story here, I think, is two more stories, actually. We got to go. Model Y Performance. It finally came out. I think it's in Europe. I mean, I'm not excited about this, but it's, you have to have a performance version of every year car, but I don't know. Model Y.
I did own I did buy a Model Y once. It was a performance. It was an exceptional experience. I highly recommend it if you can and you like acceleration. The car looks great. It looks like they've done a number of things too with the interior. But just going back to China, these China conversations are mind-numbing to me. Multiple things can be true. So Xpeng had a great quarter. Okay. Li Auto's doing well. They're doing okay. The Xiaomi car is ramping up. It's doing well. There's some issues, but it's doing. Multiple things can be true. 51% of people now are buying an NEV in China. So everybody can grow. Everything multiple things can be true. It's not that, one car is necessarily killing another's. When I talk to my friends in China, the Tesla brand is trusted there. It's loved. And we saw the the FSD, the testing that was done in China on the various brands, and the 2-year-old Tesla software outperformed everyone else. That is widely known. They have a very vibrant social media tech community, and they're really into this stuff, way more into this stuff than I see in I would say in the Western culture. It's more of in the Western culture, this introduction to tech typically happens more. It does happen on social media, but it more so happens in traditional media introducing these things. So anyway, just multiple things can be true in China. I think the Model YL is going to be a hit. If they do the shorter version of the vehicle, I think they'll even be a bigger hit.
Thank you for so much. This is perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. Perfect to have you here because of your experience with, design lock and production and compact car and all that. It was fantastic info. And of course, we also talked about the master plans and where we're headed there. Follow Jeff on his X account at the Jeff Lutz. Subscribe to him. This is one of the best Tesla retail analysts we have. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.